Hi, everybody. I'm going to call the meeting to order. If we could please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay, well, welcome, everyone. And as I always recall, I'm always grateful for everyone who shows up for the June and August meetings, because they are the toughest meetings. I think the weather always ends up being a perfect day, and either just out of school or not quite back at school, and so it's tough. So thank you all for being here. I'm going to hand it over to Patrick in a second. I just wanted to say I hope everyone had a great summer. Hope everyone's doing well. Wanted to thank Jamie, who had to resign from the board because she moved. But for all her great work, for being part of this board, and we certainly miss that. We'll miss that. But I'd like Patrick to introduce some of the new folks we have and who will be presenting today, and we'll get right down to business. Go ahead.
So tonight we have Joe Britton here, who is from La Valley Brensinger, and he'll be giving an update on the new school. But we also have two new staff to the district that are here tonight, and one is Joe Rainville, who is our Director of Facilities. So he'll give you an overview of the projects we've done this summer. And Jessica Scranton is our new business manager, will be here to go over the financial report. So we're excited to have both of them at central office.
Great. Thank you and welcome. All right, we're going to do the minutes, approve or amend the minutes. We have two sets, June 15th and June 24th. So anybody have any questions? No? Anybody want to?
I move to approve the minutes as written.
And a second? Second, great. All in favor? And those have been approved. Any other adjustments to the agenda? No surprises. That's always good. Public session. I don't think anyone's here from the public who's not already part of the staff today. So we'll go on to superintendent's report.
Just share a few kind of exciting things as we start the school year. I mean, we do start this year tomorrow with new staff, and then on Wednesday, all staff, Wednesday, Thursday, and then students start next week at different times. First thing is just a homeless grant. Katie can speak to that, but we did receive that in conjunction with a couple of the districts. So I just wanted her to share that real quick.
So the Maine Housing Authority last year, we applied for a one-year grant and received it. And then this year, we are pleased to say that we've gotten it again. It's for $410,000, and it's shared between MSA 8075, Richmond, Bath, and Brunswick, and Midcoast Youth Center and Jamie Dorr are actually the ones that apply through the funds. We are the financial holders of the money, but it's to continue what's already been happening over the past year, and for us actually a couple years with different grants, to have our homeless liaison, Donna Verhoeven, working with students in our schools, doing things that our social workers and counselors don't normally and shouldn't be doing, although our kids need it, taking them to court dates, to appointments, helping their families get on lists for housing, helping them sign up for some of the free benefits in Maine. And so she'll be able to continue working with all of our homeless students. And the grant is also, and so there's two liaisons. Donna's one, and she works with 75 and with us. There's a second liaison who does Brunswick and Richmond through the grant. And then the rest of the portion of the funds are for families at risk of homelessness or who are already homeless to apply for grants anywhere from $750 to $850 to help with back pay on apartments or heating costs, food costs, clothing, anything to help meet basic needs they can apply for through Donna. And so it's really exciting to have it again. And our application keeps being really competitive and the system's working well. So we're glad to be able to offer that service to families.
Just a couple other things. We have a unified video featured here at Morse. I think I mentioned this to you last spring. We had Maine Public Television come here, and they did a video of our programming here academically and our athletic programs that we have for unified students. And that's being edited right now, and it should be released, I would think, by October at the latest. And so we will be able to share that with you and share it with the community. So we're excited about that. Our district video that we did last year, we also will be sharing that on the first day of school. It's kind of a showcase video, highlight, three minutes, 30 seconds. I think it's very well done. And then we will be sharing that with different groups in our communities, realtors, Rotaries, just a lot of different places. Again, showing the good things that are going on in the district. Back to money real quick. We got $4,000, not a lot of money, but we got $4,000 to go towards helping us with the cell phone initiative that the state passed, which we are already doing. So that $4,000 will help buy some of our pouches, under pouches that we're doing. We're also applying for a $500,000 grant with NYC from Nellie Mae, and that's again to help with engagement with kind of our underserved population in the community. So that's due in mid-September. So we'll give you a report out after that's done. Openings right now, we have roughly 3 ed tech positions. We have the halftime payroll specialist at central office, and we have a tech support position. Those are basically our open and math position at Morse High School that just came up this week. So mostly support positions that we have. One teaching position that was unanticipated that just happened. So, yeah. And then we'll do this on opening day, but I would like to, we have a lot of people behind the scenes in the summer that get school ready. And obviously our maintenance custodial staff have done a great job with our major projects this summer, but also cleaning our schools. And then our technology staff behind the scenes, they do a lot of work for our staff to be ready. And then, central office staff and secretarial staff across the district. So we'd just like to thank them, and we're ready for day one.
Fantastic. Thank you. Any questions for Patrick?
Oh, did I mention Set for Success?
Oh,
we had that yesterday,
yeah.
Sorry. And it went really well. We had that mad rush from 10 to 11 where everybody gets free school supplies, haircuts, different tables for community partnerships that are available. And so it really is very well attended. But again, we get that mad rush for the first hour, and then it's, people scream in. And so we will make sure that if there are families that didn't come through, we coordinate, and we have some extra supplies on hand for students that may come the first day and don't have something. So again, it's great. More and more communities are doing it now, and we feel very fortunate and grateful that we have it here.
Great, thank you. Financial report, Jessica, you're up.
I'm going to preface this by saying that Jessica watched some of our board meetings last year so she can learn how to do this well. She did her homework.
I did. So, but bear with me because I'm not Deb. So, all right. So tonight you have 2 financial reports. You have the tentative end of year. I'll preface that with Hank will be here in a week or 2 to really buckle down and get us to our end of year numbers for audit. But currently, as it stands, we are coming in hot at 0.1% left on the year. So black is black, right? Yep. We are in the black. We are going to call it good. That could fluctuate a little bit. I don't think there are really any outstanding payables that need to account for FY26. If so, they'd be very minimal, small ticket items. But again, tentative because we do need to do the full financial audit to see where we are. Revenues, those actually came in a little, 1.5% above projected. We were up a little bit in tuition, which can fluctuate from year to year based on students and changing numbers there. Any questions about fiscal year 26?
Anybody have any questions?
No? Good.
I would just say that, just remind you that we put a, I guess I would say, freeze is a hard word, but we put kind of a, get what you need to get. But we did that in, I think it was February of last year that we did that. And thank goodness we did. because
Yeah.
I mean, we're coming in, originally the number was, around 60,000 to the good, which, as you know, in past years, well, the year before, we were kind of concerned because we only had 200,000. I mean, now we're getting down to, some scary numbers here. So it's just, again, something to keep in mind as we go into this year. The budget has just gotten, tighter and tighter as far as just everyday spending.
That, and to add to that is the unknowables. Like, you'll see that special ed tuition is a lot higher than anticipated, and that's something that, coming from another district, I can tell you is everywhere. That's becoming the norm. But anyway, so we have July, so our first month of the fiscal year 27, coming in at just around 4% spent, which is pretty typical. All that's really getting spent this time of year is some supply work that's being done at the buildings. And then July staff, so principals, admins, pay raises there. And then any extended school year services that are happening are reflected in the student staff support numbers. But other than that, it looks pretty typical for this time of year. Anybody have any questions about that one?
Any questions? That's fine. You usually have one. Go ahead.
Please do. I'm ready.
I had a question I asked Patrick earlier because I didn't have this
Yes.
printed out in front of me because I didn't want, but now that I have, so in the grant allocation section for 27, FY 27 on the July 31st, 2026, is that number substantially, are all these grants waiting to come in, or we're certain we're not going to get them?
At time of print, we hadn't gotten our final numbers yet. So
Okay.
so this isn't the final total. This is just what we
great.
officially have approval
Oh,
for
wonderful.
at this point.
Oh, good. Oh,
Yes, it's not
that's
what
a
we
relief.
applied for. It's not, no,
Yeah.
that's just what they've officially said. Yes, you have.
Okay, thank you.
Great. Any other questions? No, thank you very much.
Okay,
I think
thank
we're
you.
good. Appreciate it. Okay. New business. I'm going to hand it over to Patrick.
Yeah, I thought it would be good to have Joe come on up, Joe Rainville. Sorry, I got you next, Joe Britton, to give just an overview of the major projects that we did that came out of our capital, and then also any other first impressions that Joe wants to add, and other things that's been on his mind. So Joe started with us at the end of June, and
22nd, so going on 2 months and a couple days. So
yeah.
And I did not watch last year's board meeting. So feedback is welcome.
And Joe's been working hard for us, and he also threw in a wedding there and got married. So
Yeah, it's been a busy couple months, but I'm happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Like Patrick mentioned, I was high-level projects we went over. I think Kim will be including this full list in the notes, so if you want to see those later, you can. To start, painting. There's a lot of painting that happened this summer throughout all the schools. So we did collect a list, like week one of me being here. I got this list of painting dumped on me, and I went around and we prioritized it really well, working with the team. So we got a lot of good painting done. So hopefully going through the schools, you'll see some fresh coats of paint, and we'll continue to do that as we can, and on breaks and on next summer. Then going school by school, the big projects we'll start with Woolwich. These two are in progress. We are tying the lights into the backup generator there. So after this project is complete, we'll have heat, kitchen, lights, all on the generator. So that'll be a pretty big win. Part of that, it would get pretty dark in there. There's also a failing heat pump in the server room there. We're working on getting that replaced, just waiting on parts. That should be done within the next couple weeks. And paint, we painted. At the high school, really the big thing we did is we added some parking strips in the rear of the building. There's been some parking issues as far as blocking doors and receiving materials back there. So we added a no parking area back there. And we also added some sub meters for the car chargers so we can start tracking usage on those and get some good data. At the middle school, we replaced 2 sets of doors. So the old main entrance on the west or east side, and then the recess, I guess we'd call it, entrance on the west side. So those new sets of doors there. We upgraded the fire alarm system. That's kind of a 2-phase project. Phase 1 included upgrading all of the hardware. Phase 2, which was approved by the fire marshal, will be upgrading for ADA compliance. So there's a few things there that need to be adjusted for ADA compliance, and then just fire code compliance, like pull stations being a little closer to doors, et cetera. So we'll work on getting that done either during a break or next summer when we have the time. More painting there. At Phippsburg, big project that is wrapping up tomorrow. Fingers crossed. If not, Wednesday. We replaced almost, I think, all the flooring in all the hallways, and we did carpeting in one classroom. So really, all that's left there is just the thresholds into the rooms, and then a final inspection. I'll be walking with the manager of that project on Wednesday. We also are replacing a failed hot water circulation pump there, so that'll be done within the coming weeks in preparation for winter. That was an unplanned maintenance. And Dyke Newell just continued maintenance and painting there. Fisher Mitchell, painting. That's all I got on that list there. We did well, yeah, that was small. And then I guess my pride and joy so far, we've rolled out a new maintenance management system is what we would call it. From a teacher and staff perspective, it's basically how you submit work orders. But from my team's perspective, it's so much more. It's going to allow us to track our assets more closely, track preventive maintenance more closely, and just really keep an eye on all of our stuff that we paid for and make sure we can keep it from failing prematurely due to maintenance issues. And then there was one more thing, and of course, it's going to slip my mind. Inventory. So we're really trying to track custodial inventory a lot more closely. That's not something that had been done prior to me being here. So really getting in with custodians in all the schools to keep track of the supplies they have, report that out to me, kind of get ahead of ordering so they're not being reactive. So I think just the big theme of what I'm focused on right now is preventive maintenance as opposed to reactive maintenance. So yeah, any questions for me? Otherwise,
That sounds really good. Anybody have any questions? Yeah, go ahead.
Did the repair work to BMS bathrooms? Did that happen? Has that happened before?
We did the 8th grade wing that was the most needed last summer, and
Right.
obviously if you ask Connor if he was here, he wanted 6th and 7th grade to be done too, but we just didn't have the power to do that or
Yeah.
the funds to do that.
Okay.
So I'm sure it'll come up again in the next budget cycle.
Okay.
Another thing I would mention is we relined all the parking lots at all of the schools.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And also
Yeah.
Joe did a nice job coordinating with the city and the towns that need it, is the crosswalks, because those get faded,
Mhm.
especially the one that we worry about the most is in front of Dyke Newell because the little kids.
Great. No, that sounds really great. Thanks for all the updates.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate it.
Goose laser does not work. I do have I want to get a border collie.
That's right. I think that sounds great. Let's get a border collie. That'd be awesome.
Thank you.
That's right. It'd be great to have it. All right.
Yeah, so next, I thought it would be good. I know it's kind of the beginning of the year, and we haven't had building committee meetings this summer, but we have been doing a lot of work behind the scenes. So I thought having Joe Britton here from LaValley, just to give a brief update on all that we've been doing would be great. So thanks, Joe, for being here.
No, my pleasure. So as Patrick said, it's been steady progress over the summer. I apologize, I don't have a presentation, so I'm going to be reading off some notes I took here. The big thing has been site selection and programming. So with site selection, as you might know, you might not know, the middle school site, which we were investigating, is no longer on the table for consideration. So we're moving on from that, but we are still continuing to explore the former Dyke Newell site. So the work over the summer on that site, we have completed our geotechnical on-site investigation. So the geotechnical team is doing the report now. Some of the early findings that they had out there was that, as you would expect, we saw behind the school here, there's ledge. No surprise there, but it's understanding what kind of ledge we have and how deep that ledge is, which the report's going to tell us. We've completed our existing site conditions and our existing topography, so we know what we're dealing with on site. And we've completed phase 1 of our environmental site assessment, the ESA assessment. That tells us at a high level if there's any contaminants that we would know about, either documented or from, it's your guys' site, so you would know if there was any hazardous waste generated on the site or spilled on the site. So that level of assessment is complete. We're moving into the phase 2 of that as well. We've completed wetlands and vernal pools. I will point out with the ESA, that phase 1, we haven't yet, because that part of the phase 1 assessment does not include samples, but when we do samples, we will test to see if that fire has contaminated the site at all, and if so, how do we remove those contaminants from the site. And then we have completed the initial concept layout for the former Dyke Newell site, meaning we put the building, an idea of the building on the site. and looked at vehicular and pedestrian traffic around the site. That did include a much larger square footage for the building, as you'll see here in a second, the program, as we've been working through that, the building has been getting tighter as we're becoming more efficient with the program. So we have seen further iterations recently on how that building might sit on the site. So what was thought of as a really tight, narrow site has become a little bit more freeing and forgiving as the building becomes more understood. So that is one site investigation that we're continuing with the middle school site coming off the table. We did want to look out beyond the former Dyke Newell site to see if there are other options in town that we might want to consider. I'm going to keep this one confidential for now, as we are still reaching out to the landowner to understand permissions and if they're interested in selling, but there is a site in town that we are investigating further. Patrick has been reaching out or trying to reach out to get more information from them. If they are interested in selling, then we'll take the next step to get approval to be on site to do the next round of testing, just like we did with the former Dyke Newell. And then we'll present that information back to the building committee to see the pros and cons between the two sites and kind of decide on which direction we want to move forward with. So we're not dedicated to one site right now. With the middle school coming off the table, we are looking at alternate sites as well. Any questions on site selection before I continue? So the other piece of our efforts this summer has been programming. So as Sebago, the civil engineers, doing their piece with the site, we are working with Patrick and with special education and the DOE to talk about the building program. So this is all the parts and pieces that make up the new school. The effort here is to kind of start at a high level and working with the DOE to see what they will support, what they will fund, continue to massage that program to a building that is agreed upon by the DOE, agreed upon by the district, and then any parts that aren't agreed upon, that negotiating piece is either decided on if it's going to be locally funded or not part of the project. And so we're not quite at that level yet. We've had a few rounds of discussions with the DOE, and that's part of why that building has become more efficient, a little bit smaller as we continue with those efforts. I think the conversation is moving in the right direction. They're happy to see the needle moving in a certain direction. I think we're happy to see that a lot of the program has being supported, but there's still some nuances specifically around special education and general education in terms of, what the district is asking for and what the DOE will fund. So we're still going through that. Every square footage in terms of the DOE has to be justified. So we have to show student population projections. We have to show staff and kind of how the district was planning on using these programs, and the DOE will decide if they're going to back it or not. So we're kind of in that song and dance with them right now. As I said, the goal is to finalize that program to a point where everyone's in agreement, but the end result of that would be a agreed upon program and potentially a list of items that would be locally funded if we want to continue considering those as part of the program. As that list develops, if that list develops, we'll review that with the building committee, kind of decide if that is something that we want to move forward with. And then when that time comes, we'll present it to you all to understand what, if any, the local contribution would be. Fair point. Any questions on programming? So with all that said, just an update on the schedule. We are looking at a June of next year, 2027 referendum. And so working backwards from there, that puts us in a cycle of straw polls and state construction committee approvals and state school board approvals starting in January of 2027. That's when we're looking to do the site straw poll process. And then in March of 27 would be the building concept straw poll process. So again, starting from basically January through April of next year would be a lot of going up to Augusta and going through that whole requirement process from the DOE to get everything lined up for approval to set us up for that June 2027 referendum. So again, working backwards even further from there, that would look to have site selection wrapped up, I would hope, late November, early December at the latest. And then the building programming wrapped up in a couple of months here with concept design and estimating going out in first of the year. So the building concept will be about a month to 2 months behind the site selection process, and that follows the kind of typical process you would see with the DOE. In the immediate, so as Patrick mentioned, the building committee has also been off this summer. So we're looking to pick back up with them right where we left off, which would be reviewing the ed specs and ed visioning. A little embarrassed at that last meeting we had with them. We had some IT issues that we couldn't present that information, but that's ready to go and be presented. I do want to circle back also on the sustainability goals and discuss that a little bit further on how sustainability is going to be used in the new school. Looking ahead with the building committee, they will of course weigh in on the program as that's getting developed, as the site selection process continues to unfold, and we want to get feedback on all those items as well. And then I think the exciting piece is we're looking to set up some tours with the building committee for some recently completed DOE schools. I know we talked about that school up in Skowhegan, the Margaret Chase Community School. There's a lot of exciting pieces happening there. They have an ECSE, an early childhood special education program, as well as brand new pre-K to 5, I believe, school over there. And then recently completed school in Mexico, pre-K to 8. I'm not sure if that's something we want to check out as well, but we're going to look to set up some tours so we can kind of get an idea of what to expect with a DOE funded elementary school. So that's what we've been working on. That's what we're going to be working on. I think it's going to get pretty exciting here in the next couple of months, and hope to get everything lined up, ready to go. So first of the year hits, and we can just go through all the approval processes that we're required to do. Any questions?
That's great. Who's got it? You got a question? Go ahead.
I taught at the Dyke Newell, worked at the Dyke Newell School for about a year or so, and so I remember driving in there. It felt like we could drive. I used to drive into a very narrow street with every residential house is pretty close to the street and really tight. Yeah. And I was just wondering, part of that study, has it been to talk to those neighbors yet, or do that how much more traffic might go, or would it use the same access point or not?
So part of the site investigations would be a investigation with the Department of Transportation to understand what that traffic flow requires. And then that would likely trigger, we call them off-site improvements. So either increases to the road width if required. I would expect that to happen. But sometimes you might see sidewalks, crosswalks. We are looking at opportunities to create a second entrance into that site. So where would that happen? How would that happen? All that would be in close communication with the adjacent neighbors to make sure they understand the impact. And if they have any questions or concerns, we'd like to work with them. We don't want to be the mean neighbor. We want to be the collaborative neighbor and make sure that everyone's happy by the time the school's up and running. But again, that's if the former Dyke Newell site is selected. Right now, it's still being investigated.
Right.
And is geothermal as a heat source, is that something that's looked upon for the new school? I mean, or is that a big, huge other project that would be?
No, I mean, we've had some conversation in the building committee. Geothermal hasn't been used as much maybe in the last couple of years as it was a handful of years ago. Is that fair to say? And this footprint is not going to be maybe as big as like what we did. And so I think, La Valley has, and we've also talked with another company too, talking about, heat pumps in a system that might be
Correct.
as efficient. And so that's about as far as we've gotten on that kind of conversation.
And so the like what she was talking about, so obviously if you were to choose the old Dyke Newell site, I assume you'd be looking at, because I know there's a field on the other side. I mean, so you must be considering something beyond just that footprint.
Always looking for the opportunity to
Right.
expand. That field is all wetlands.
Right.
And not only that, but where the Dyke Newell site abuts that field, there's a lot of infrastructure coming down there. So to bridge over that would be very costly, and not necessarily something we might want to put the kind of investment into. But we have reached out to adjacent neighbors to see if they'd be interested in selling. We didn't get any positive feedback on that. But that's not to say that within the footprint of the existing Dyke Newell site, that there aren't areas that we can continue to expand from what was already further developed previously. There are wetlands that we've identified in that area. We haven't seen any vernal pools, but there are some stream segments that are critical. So we do have to be sensitive to that. But again, all opportunity for us to look to expand.
Looking at, sure. Okay, great. Any other questions?
Joe, do you
Kurt?
feel like this going back to site selection, trying to identify a second site, do you think that could affect the window for, enrollment in the new school?
No, we tried to be aggressive coming out of the gate, but I think given the opportunity to slow down the schedule a little bit and to kind of reevaluate that site selection process, because the middle school site coming off the table only allows us just more time in the front end, but we will make up that time in the back end during design and everything leading up to the bid documents going out. So I don't see this having any impact in terms of, you're talking about occupying the new school on opening day. Yeah, I don't see that being an impact.
Great.
Very common during the site selection process to have something that you hope is going to happen and then doesn't.
Take it away.
Yeah.
Great. Any other questions for Jeff? Fantastic. Thanks for the update. Appreciate it. Okay. We've got a couple of action items. The Midcoast, starting with the Midcoast pediatrician contract.
Yeah, that hasn't changed at all. I mean, the amount is still the same. It's, for a doctor to work with our nursing staff and consult with. So I don't think there's anything more to say about that one.
Does anyone have any questions on that? Okay, so we just need what, a motion? Can I have a motion?
I move to approve the Midcoast pediatrician contract as written.
Okay, any further discussion? All in favor? Okay, it passes.
We just need to change the dates on that, but we will do that.
Okay, and then that's something, do
I will
need- or you
sign it, yeah.
Okay, I don't need to sign it. And then the next one is the Lincoln Medical Partners contract.
You want to speak to that?
Sure. So essentially, every year we need to reapprove the school-based health center contract. The only news I have in terms of what's changed is we'll still have the medical assistant 3 days a week, and then the 2 days we also pay for. So that person's here 5 days a week. We'll have the nurse practitioner 2 days a week. We might get an extra day of social work this year, which is great because they're looking to hire more people. So right now I believe she's here for 2 days, so we might get her 3 days. And then last year they also included an additional substance use and tobacco use counselor. And so other than us getting more services for paying for 2 days of a medical assistant, I don't really have anything to report. I think, our numbers continue to be up. And what's really neat about it is it's both students, families, and our staff actually use the health center quite a bit. Definitely would love for you to continue to support this.
So just say yes and keep moving.
Sure.
Right? Okay. Great. Well, that sounds very promising. Thank you for the update. May I have a motion? Oh, yeah, you got a question? Sure. Yeah.
So Katie, they take main care, right? And that's part of this. And there's also, did I read somewhere dental services as well?
Yes. So the dental services, our medical assistant helps coordinate. They're not officially part of the grant. They're from another sort of free organization and person who helps volunteer, but it's all in the same place. And that person actually does go and do dental services place-based in all of our buildings, just because that's trickier. A lot of students end up going to that person. And they're also here at the health center. And I want to say that she comes 2 times a year to each of the buildings. But I don't, that's, I don't remember. Yeah.
Great. So may I have a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion to approve the Lincoln Medical Partners contract.
Great. Second. Any other questions? All in favor? Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, that does it.
Can I add one thing?
Yeah,
I just-
absolutely. Go ahead.
just,
Sure.
Wanted to, since we're talking about health on these last 2 things, I mean, I sent you the information, but we sent you protocols for the nursing situation at Phippsburg. The nurse will be there 60%, which is 10 to 2. We sent you the protocol list that Nina went over with our new nurse that's there. And also the tracking sheet, which will basically track the number of visits that come down between 8:30 and 10 and 2 to 3, the reason for the visit, and then the action taken by the office staff. So I'll work with Lou, but one way or the other, and starting in September, we will either have it as an agenda item or we will
Just an
provide it
update.
to you as obviously provide you with the data, and whether it just comes out of my report or if we want a separate agenda item, just to give you, I think the motion last year said that we would do it from until through December. And so we will make sure that we have that for you at the September 28th board meeting.
Great. Thanks for that update. Next is the board goals reflection, if we have any
And I
today.
think we've hit our item 2, facilities and operations, by reviewing the building project.
Great. Next meeting is September 28th. Will be a month into school. And any questions on that will be right here. If there's no other issues, it's an August meeting, try to keep them short if we can. May I have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn.
Second, all in favor? We are adjourned. Thank you all for being here. Appreciate all the updates and everything. Have a great rest of your day.